People call me the Bob Stock lady.
Why do you think people have a hard time talking about their own business?
They want it to be easy. The sweat. Every business is so different.
How do you find the right employee?
What are your goals? What are you actually trying to accomplish?
It's fun and it's cool.
You probably make hundreds of thousands, right, of dollars on Bob Stock.
Funny gun just...
Yep. Why do we do all this shit?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Totem Podcast. I'm your host, Monico Carrillo, and remember that an act of rebellion is to question. What's up, Eric?
Not much here. Having a good time. Ready to finally put a face to the voice because she's on the radio a lot. She's putting her voice out there. She has her own show, doing all these great things out in the community, and finally for people to actually put a face to her. So
you can see her? No, yeah, that's great. So I think we're going to have a great conversation today because we're both kind of in the same space.
Yep.
So, Lindsey, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm going to tell you that your digs around here are a little nicer than our studio because we're not on camera. So this is like a whole new thing, but I'm pretty impressed. It's a pretty nice spot.
No,
how was it experiencing like the video side of the world?
It's really different, right? Like I didn't come traditionally through like a broadcast school or background. I've just been around it since I was a little kid. So I never got that like side of the training on camera and stuff. So I'm just used to like, I do a lot of stuff from home. Actually, I have like a home studio, and so like in my bathrobe in the morning, like doing my show, like that's a behind the scenes thing. I don't ever talk about that, but yeah. So it's like this.
How does that work? Like, does working from home is it like setting the? Do you have like your own like setup to just send signals out?
Yeah. So we have like a system or like a server that everything sends to, and so I can just hop on, go through my show, and
so you can be working from anywhere. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, from home or in our studio, pretty much. So
as long as
I haven't done that for very long, but most days I'm in studio and we can be live as much as we want. But sometimes with all the promotions and sales stuff that we do, it's convenient to be able to do that. It's pretty neat.
How long, or I guess, how did you get started in radio? I guess you said since you were little, and you guys have had the stations for forever. But like. How was your first experience? How was it? Did you just say like, let me try this?
No, my dad was a farm boy, and he spent a lot of time on a tractor, and he fell in love with AM radio. So when I was growing up, he worked part-time. He had a full-time job at a natural gas company, but radio was always just kind of a side thing. So he was a sports broadcaster. So then when my sister and I were little, he would just take us with us, put him in the car, and we sat sidelines at football games, basketball games, volleyball games when he was calling all of those games live. So I remember getting a Christmas present that was like, it was a Walkman, guys, if I'm dating myself. It was cool, it was blue and yellow, and it was a Walkman, but it was an AM FM radio. And so some of these gyms were so loud that I would sit right in front of his broadcast booth and have headphones on and listen to it. So I literally grew up in it. And then when I went away to college, I thought I might want to do that, but I didn't know. So I didn't go to broadcast school. I went into marketing, wondering if that's what I would do. And then after college, it just, like a lot of us probably, I just migrated back when there was an open spot at the station. And then this month, next week, it'll be 15 years. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, super fun. Now I feel like I'm like the old lady on the block. Like I used to be like the young one. And now like I get around like you guys and I'm like, oh my God, I'm old.
How much of your day, because you said you went in marketing, do you do more marketing stuff to being on the radio and prepping for that?
Considerably more marketing. Yeah.
Okay.
Considerably more marketing. We can do our stuff, really quick now, and it's very routine. And I just do a 4-hour show, so I spend way more time on the marketing side, working with local businesses, and then events. Events is a big part of what we do, and where we've kind of built our brand. So things like Bob Stock, we do an outdoor sports show and stuff. So that I spend a lot of time on those things.
What's like your favorite topic to talk about on your show? Do you have just one, do you have just like one that you just love more than others, or is it
no, actually, everything we do is kind of short form, as opposed to this where it's a long conversation. It's usually just me getting people in and out of music. So the format I'm on Bob FM, it is more music driven. So for me, it's just to engage people a little bit. So talking about community events, letting them know what's going on, or one of my most fun things, I guess, is like on-air promotions or contests, right? So that we get a chance to kind of promote and talk about those things. ticket giveaways for like concerts and stuff. That's the kind of stuff I have fun with.
Okay, so you don't have like, today I'm gonna talk about this, and then you just go out for a few minutes.
No, I more have kind of segments for each.
Okay.
You know, I do something like our water cooler question of the day, and it's like a fun thing that is like a question and answer. It's something based on, you know, Americans that have been surveyed in like the last month, and it's kind of just a question. And then it usually has kind of an outrageous answer or something. So we have a lot of stuff. There's a lot of really great prep tools for radio. And so there's a lot of things like that. So I do have a format in all of these different segments, and stuff is kind of done on a schedule a little bit.
I've always wondered this about radio. Is it all live, or is there some like pre-recorded stuff that's going through there?
Both. We do. We have 7 stations, and we have certain ones that are completely live start to finish. And then we do a lot of what people call voice tracking, which allows us with a small staff to be wherever. And so where we can plug stuff in, make it sound live, but we don't have to be right there tied up for 4 or 5 hours. So we do a mix of both.
So if you say something bad, like you still have the chance to cut it out?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, yeah, if you're live,
good.
that's why we don't go live, because if we were for live, you
I feel like live
Yeah.
is just a different ballgame. Like we've done like live events with like MCC and stuff, and but it's like you physically being on the camera or being on air live. It's different.
I like it. Yeah, everything we don't do everything live. If we're on site and doing a remote somewhere, it really scares people, not our staff, but other people, to know they're on live, even if they're talking about their own business. So the fact that we will call back to the studio, we'll record those, and then we'll air them a couple minutes later. That really helps people, because we try to, right? If you make a mistake, we just kind of roll with it. It's natural, it's authentic. But if there is something that comes up, we can correct it, right? Like that is, it's a concern, right?
Why do you think people have a hard time talking about their own business when they're like on the spot?
They're the ones that should know the most about it, right? Just to be able to.
They should be like the most excited to talk about them and their business.
I find, and you guys are probably like me, a little different. It's a microphone. You put a microphone in front of people, and they freeze. And not even live or anything else. We'll just have people come in to cut their own radio ad, and they can be in a studio with themselves. I'll shut the door and let them sit in there. I've had grown men that shake, that sweat, that heavy breathe, that are like, is it hot in here? And I think it's something about a microphone and being on the spot, and people hate hearing their own voices. You guys like me are probably just kind of used to it. It's just part of what you do. But I find that's very foreign to a lot of people, right? So they just don't like it. And so I think their brain just kind of shuts down when you put a microphone in front of them.
I mean, honestly, that's kind of how I was at the beginning.
Really?
I would get in front of the microphone, our first episode, hear ready to talk, and I'm just like, I don't know what's next. What are we going to talk about? It's just
something in your brain just shuts down, right?
Yeah. But I think it's just like realizing like, why are you so nervous? You just have this thing in front of you. Like, well, after you get going, you just forget about you forget about it, and that it's there, and you just go.
And you guys probably get it all the time, right? People are like, I don't know how you do that. How do you do that? How do you just go on and talk? And it's a habit. Once you do it, and if you enjoy it, it just very much becomes second nature, right?
Yeah, it just comes.
You turn it on. You guys turn on a camera. You grab a mic and you just do it. And so it's a unique skill. I like it. It's an industry I've been in. You guys are in it. A lot of people aren't. And so I do find that catches them a little off guard.
With you said like when you have people, they come do their own cuts and stuff for radio. I'm interested, like going now on the marketing side of it, because most businesses, I mean, pretty much all businesses, we want great results. We want the biggest bang for our buck, but they don't want to spend some money. So like, what do you think? It's something like, is there a certain number or a set number that someone should invest or spend to be able to see results?
It's based on the result that they want, right? And I think you and I have had this conversation. Sometimes I work backwards. And so if I'm sitting with a customer, it becomes, wait a minute, instead of let's record this and see what it does, it's more 6 months to a year, where do you want your business to be? What's the goal? Because I find people try to do too much, right? They easily confuse their audience, and they don't know what to go after. And so helping them decide what's the best fit, what they should be promoting, and then going, okay, let's back up and where do you want this to be in a year? That determines what I'm going to suggest they run. If they want really big results, they need to spend big money. If they go, hey, we're here, we're pretty consistent, we're not growing our business, we're just maintaining, I'm going to suggest something else. It really depends on where they want to take it.
What percentage of business owners do you think come in and they have like no idea what they want to do? Like, they're just like, I want to promote, but I don't even know what to do.
Half.
How to make a plan, nothing.
Half. I would say half of mine. What about you? You're in the same space. How many come to you? And
almost all of them, honestly.
Yeah.
A lot
but
of
it's
them.
like that they know they need to do more because they've been doing something, they haven't got results with it, or they haven't been doing anything. Or they've seen someone else doing stuff, so
Yeah.
like, I need to do something.
Yeah.
Or they've been doing something. They've just been throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
exactly.
And that's what I think you said is very important. Like, what are your goals? What are you actually trying to accomplish? And then work back from there.
Yep.
Because you can't just like start ramping up on like advertising and stuff if you don't want to be at that spot.
Yep.
In a year.
Yep.
It just depends where you want to be.
And you got to pick a focus, right? And to me, one of the easiest things when a business owner says, "Will you tell me what should I be promoting?" I mean, to me, it becomes either what do you want to do more of, or where's your biggest profit margin? Sometimes those are the same thing, and sometimes they're not. So I have people that come to me and say, "We're really happy in this space, and we make the most amount of money, but now we're ready to enter into this, and it's new. It's not going to be the main part of our business, but hey, we're selling X, Y, Z." Or we're providing some kind of service, right? We sell trailers, but we service them. So that service piece, now comes into play, and they want to promote that. So it really varies, and I find it, you guys are the same. Every business is so different. And that's why I get frustrated with certain marketing companies, or if people go out of town, that they don't understand this market, and they don't understand that every business is very unique and different. And you really have to tap into who your audience is, what you're trying to do, and that all determines what you need to spend. Where a lot of people, right, they focus on how much they can spend.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's an issue.
Yeah, they're
That's-
just
that's
like,
the way
I have this much, and you'll never get, I guess, you can, but it's like saying, if you go to the dealership and just say, I got $1,000 or I got $30,000, I want to buy a car.
Yeah.
Well, that car that was $20,000, they're probably going to try to sell it to you for $30,000 now. I think
Or
it's
if you go in there, they'll probably try to upsell you on the $40,000 car too.
So-
Like,
so
might
I
as well
think-
take a look at it. You're already there.
so I think that's why, and I'm curious to know, like, I feel like you're almost a business consultant at that point, because those things they should kind of already internally know. What's my biggest profit? What do I make more money off of? Where do I want to see my business in 6 months? Where do I want to go? But then it seems like they don't, and they just come to, they don't even know what they're going.
They want it to be easy. And I have found that doing it for a really long time, you don't have to be a genius to do it, but it isn't easy. It takes time and it takes thought. And I understand that small business owners are busy. They wear a lot of hats. We wear a lot of hats in our office, but you have to be able to carve out time. And the ones who don't, no matter how much they spend, they typically don't see as good of results. If they're engaged in it, my customers who are engaged, they think it through. If they listen to our stations and they hear other things that they like, and they're engaged in that, they're paying attention, it's not a surprise to me that then their ads tend to work better, because there's some real thought and intention behind it, versus the people who just go, say, what do you want to add? What do we want to promote? Well, I don't know. Aren't you the person who does that? And I'm like, well, I mean, not really. I mean, I am. I can help it get there. But it is business owners really taking a look. I think asking their employees too, right? We've sat down with our staff this last year and asked them to evaluate us a little bit. And we've looked at what are some of our opportunities we're not capturing? What are threats to us? What are things we do well? What are things we don't do well? And I know that sometimes is hard as a business to sit and look at your own business and grade it, right? We did that and got really great feedback from our staff, and it's dictating a lot of new things we'll do this year. We've never done that before. It was extremely productive.
Would you mind sharing something that you said that you guys didn't do good, that you guys, like, everyone's seen it?
You know it. It's our social media. That's why we called you. It's like we're in the broadcast business and we know that. We don't deny we have social media pages for everything we do. But because we're so many stations and so many markets, things like Bob Stock as well, we even struggle in the marketing business to get our arms around it because I feel like I'm always spending time marketing other people's business, looking up information on their industry, that we've kind of lost some things like that. So our community involvement, our events are strong, our radio product, our team really agree to our strengths. Weaknesses, we're honestly telling people, putting our story out there, making sure that everything we do on social media, on the radio, that it kind of all comes together. And then just cross-promoting certain things that we do in different areas, because we do a lot across Northeast Colorado.
You said you guys did your retreat with your employees, and if you guys want their feedback, that means you guys kind of value and respect them and stuff, and they probably have to be pretty good at what they're doing. How do you find the right employee?
Because not just they're doing stuff, but some of them are also like on the radio and actually have like their own little segments and stuff. So I think like any business,
question, huh?
It's a challenge. I can say right now, for the first time since I've been here in 15 years, it's been more than 2 years since we've turned over a single employee. That's never happened, which tells us we're doing something right? We're running on a little smaller staff than we have. We run on 14 people. We've run on 16 to 17 most of the time I've been at the stations. So I think we're doing really well with the staff we have. We're tapping into their unique things that they do. Again, we're a little unique in that a lot of our guys come out of broadcast school, and a large percentage of our employees are sports broadcasters. It's what they do. It's what they love. And they're coming out here a lot of times from all over the country. And they're coming out to really cut their teeth as 19 to 22-year-old kids and do a lot of live sports broadcasting. So us just kind of using other guys who have been with us for a long time in that. We've got a guy, our local guy here, Scotsman, was 18 years doing sports. So it's about getting those guys to come to work for us, but it's mentoring them to get a lot better at what they do.
What's the biggest challenge for you, like managing people? Managing
people?
Yeah, managing like your employees and kind of
They were spread out. Office to office, from Fort Marine to Ray, we're 90 miles apart. So for me, I go out there every week. By the time I leave my house, by the time I get all the way to Ray and back, I mean, it's 200 miles in a day. Getting our staff to work as one unit, and all of our stuff interconnects, right? All of our systems interconnect with the push of a button. We're sending audio and stuff all over the place. So that can be easy. But, right, making sure the right hand knows what the left hand is doing when we have 4 locations and 14 employees is one of the biggest challenges, right? So that was another thing with our staff, was just communication. And for us, that's an easy one, right? Because it just always has to be improved. I don't think you've ever like mastered communication in any business, right? So I find that as one of the bigger challenges.
You guys said you guys like took the retreat and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. How often do you guys do that? Do you guys do like once a year, or how long ago did you guys start?
We've probably done that
like
for about 7-8 years.
Yeah, like go out, get away, and actually like ask your employees, like, hey, what do we do good? What could we do better?
We started that 6-7 years ago. And then we do kind of a summer one that's more of like a quick meeting for maybe an hour, touching base on things. And then it's more like a summer barbecue. We've done some really fun stuff. We've rented a boat and gone out on North Sterling Reservoir, and all just like gone out on a boat for the afternoon and then go to dinner. Our retreat is like a typically like half day indoor Christmas party kind of a thing. And we just started feeling the need to find at least twice a year that we make sure that all our staff gets together, where it also can be fun. Like, we've established part of our culture at Media Logic is that we're in the broadcast business and it's fun and it's cool. And so making sure that we give opportunities with our own staff to do stuff that's fun and cool is kind of a big part of it. So yeah, we've done that. So twice a year, we kind of have all mandatory group meetings. And then we break off in smaller groups once a month. But yeah, it's been quite a few years. And I think our best one ever was just in the past couple of weeks. We spent a lot of time getting feedback from our staff in advance, as opposed to getting a lot of content at the meeting. we kind of did a whole bunch of meetings and research ahead of time, and then kind of presented what the collective decisions were and where we're going this next year.
If you don't mind me asking, like, whose idea was kind of to put something like that together? Because usually I think it takes a lot out of a business owner to be like, I'm probably not doing something good, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Mm-hmm. Usually the ego doesn't let business owners do that.
We're a very unique structure. I haven't found one like it. That my dad is our owner and operator, but my sister and I both work for him. So it's, as we've been there longer and longer, it's kind of the three of us working in tandem. And it's really funny because you have somebody very well experienced that's been a business owner for, 25 odd years, and my dad. And then you have my sister and I, different generation. And so we're pushing some things. So I think we push him and he educates us, right? So there's a really interesting dynamic that I don't know that you see very often, and you really don't see very often in the broadcast, in the radio business. That's pretty unheard of. There aren't a ton of small radio groups left. There's some here and there. There's a one-off station here and there. We keep finding, and that's not me saying that, it's people we work with, it's other people in the industry we get content from. We are a little different. We run on a really high volume, and we have a lot of stations for being a really small home-owned group. So that's kind of cool. But I think it's taking all three of us to kind of go, all right, things are shifting. We want to grow our business. My dad's over 60 now, so I think he always says he's never going to retire, but he also knows he wants the time to slow down. So I think that's spurring some of these conversations and things that we're going to have to look at doing things different as he wants to play a little more golf during the week.
I think that's a good balance, though. You have like your dad who has like all this experience. Mm-hmm. Some people might say it's like, oh, he's stuck in his ways, but I think it's more like he has experience and he has like the kind of like puts the brakes, like, hey, like let's think about this for a minute, and then you and your sister bring all these like new, cool, fun ideas that like to try out. It's like, you need a good balance of both. I think.
How much of discussions though do you guys have? Because like at the same time, it's like he's your dad, but then it's like we're on the job, so it's like how are those conversations usually like?
You know what's really funny that you say that? There was somebody that walked into our office. It's maybe been a year or two, and they come in on the radio every month. And they've known my dad for years. My sister sits at the front desk. Our office is very open. There's not a lot of doors. There's some space, but not a lot of doors in our office. They had been around all of us for years. And I don't know what event it was that somebody said something and they all of a sudden realized that we were all related.
Oh, they didn't know.
They didn't know. I mean, we all have different last names. So somebody was like, what? And I've had people go, well, I knew you and your dad. I've seen you somewhere, but I didn't know that gal that sits at the front desk is your sister. And I'm like, yeah. So it is a really different dynamic. And it's, I don't know. It's just, ask me the question again.
Forgot it.
I got.
Do you feel like those conversations like with each other, like the dynamic is easier, or is it
working
harder?
With family, yeah.
It has its challenges, right? You guys do it too, and it's there are things that are so good about it. It's always a place where I can give my exact opinion and not worry that I'm going to get fired, right? Hasn't happened yet. We'll see after this.
Challenge accepted.
You'd be like, hey, come into my office. No, I think my dad is extremely good at keeping kind of open dialogue and letting even other people, it's not just about us three, we rely a lot on all of our staff and let them make a lot of decisions, let them try a lot of things within reason. So that's good. I will say again, where I talked about kind of being the older lady, we used to go at it and argue about a lot of things a lot more often and disagree. And it's like one of those things, right? Like you've seen the commercials, like becoming your parents. I hate to admit it, and he better not watch this, but like the older you get, the more you're like, well, God, he makes a lot of sense. Like this. And so like, that's how I know I'm getting old, is that he does, like we argue less and I like agree with him a lot more. But, you know, social media is kind of a hot topic for us where, you know, my dad's over 60 and he's like, I get it. I know it's there. I won't negate it, but I'm not going to be the one to do it. So we're looking at some of our younger employees going, hey, how do we bring this in as part of our brand, right? How do we help other businesses and how do we get our arms around because there's new stuff. You guys are more in that business than me. There's just new stuff coming out all the time, right? There's new Facebook algorithms, so you have to figure out how to better promote your business. And so we're relying really on a lot of our younger staff to help us through that.
Yeah, and I think that's huge because like you just said, there's so much new stuff coming out, social media, like do this, and then you start dabbling. I mean, I think we're all kind of like, it's happened to all of us. We start doing it, but then we got to make sure what is our brand and what's our core values, and not do that. Like me, you're probably never going to see me TikTok dancing. Now, that's not me,
I don't know. It might be kind of
Really?
cool.
I don't know.
I don't know, maybe.
I know.
But you just need to put the right song on.
Do you
maybe.
floss? I don't know how to do it either, but
But like that's probably not me. So it's like I don't know. So it's, but then there's some stuff
trends.
that just hop on the trends, and it's like that's cool. It might get you more views, but is it, are you in line with your brand? And are
Right.
those views actually getting you more sales, or are they just kind of just seeing it and they're laughing at you? Like, what's the objective?
It goes back to like, what's your objective? Are you doing it for just to get more likes, more views, or do you want more clients,
Right.
more actual like?
what are you trying to do, right? What's the intention behind it? And our staff is looking at that going, yeah, we know we can be fun. We know we're the guys that do Bobstock and we bring a music festival. So that's a big part of our brand. But we don't want to be cheesy. We need it to make sense. We're still in broadcast business. And then we still go out and consult and work with other businesses. And so yeah, staying ahead of those trends, but also figuring out who we are is something we're working really hard on.
You mentioned Bobstock. Yeah. There's a lot of people, I mean, we were talking about it the other day, but you probably make hundreds of thousands, right, of dollars on Bobstock when you guys put it together.
I'm gonna you guys want the inside track?
Yeah,
because this is probably. I will tell you the two most.
Get the money gun. Just
Yep. Just no. I will tell you the two things that come up most often about Bobstock. There's a myth out there that we make a lot of money off of Bobstock. I wish we did. We've never lost money on Bobstock. It is not a revenue generator for our stations in itself. Reason being, the costs. And I've been called in on so many meetings now over the years of people who go, oh, we want to put on a concert here. Can we talk to you and pick your brain? I'm always happy to. There's a fundamental misunderstanding of how much things in that industry cost. Booking bands, what a lot of people don't understand, when you book a band for, let's say, $50,000, that does not include sound or anything that puts them on a stage. So people would be like, oh, $50,000.
Bands are $50,000? Is that how much they are? That's crazy.
I got a steal for my wedding.
Are we in the wrong industry?
But that's without a stage. That's without sound. Okay. So, yeah, we're in that hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we're getting all of that sponsorship locally. There's no magic fairy. There's no grant. We don't generate money because we don't sell tickets, which was always the intention, right? So we challenge ourselves. And I asked my dad years ago, because it was kind of his idea. He threw out in a meeting years ago. And this year we're planning year 16. So the first one happened before I even worked there. So it was just like, yeah, radio stations, they throw concerts. Like, we'll do a little thing at the park. It's good for promotion, da-da-da. And it was a few years ago when we had like Tone Loc and Young MC. We literally were like, do you think back in 2007 this was your vision? Like the year you brought rappers, like 90s rappers to the stage? And like, that's our joke. It took on a life of its own because local businesses and people support it. And that means we keep finding really unique ways to monetize it so we can pay for everything. It's a very, very expensive event, the way we've grown it. So there isn't a lot of room for us to make a lot of money off of it. The flip side, so people say, right, why do you do it? If you're not making money and it's a ton of work, why do you do it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's a big part of our brand. And if we turn around and look, it's called Bobstock because Bob FM is where we got that. So 97.5 Bob FM. It is why we named it that. It's no surprise to me that Bob is like our most popular station. Bob is the one people recognize, they love. It's its own thing. So
is that like the main one that you guys like? I guess
it depends on what area you're in. It's not our biggest like reach station. It's not. But it is the one we hear about the most often. It's one that other people say, oh, I want on ag programming on this station or something. But a lot of times people say, I know I have to be on Bob. Or so-and-so told me if I'm going to do any radio advertising, it has to be on Bob. So it has a cult following and it has a really great following of listeners to it. So we know that Bobstock has all of these effects in what we do all throughout the year on Bob. So it's paid us tenfold, but we don't walk away. We've been told that so many times. Well, I'm sure that's just a huge revenue generator for you guys. It's really not. We have to work really, really hard to not lose money on that event, because it floors me now to look at all of the things. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, why? Everything just costs a lot. And post-COVID, things went through the roof. So we'll keep doing it as long as sponsors will keep supporting it so we can pay the bills. And we like it. It sets us apart from our competitors. It does a lot of things for us. We don't sit there and line our pockets with Bobstock dollars. We just don't.
And that's interesting. You said it's a part of your guys' brand.
It is.
That, like, for other businesses to know.
People call me the Bobstock lady. They're like, oh, you from Bobstock. They don't know my name, but they know that we do that, right?
And that's important for, like, other businesses to know. It's like, sometimes to build your brand, it's going to cost you a little bit of money. You might not make any money, might break even, might lose a little bit of money. But if it's a part of your brand and that's like what you want to be known for, then you got to like work at it.
Or there's other ways to brand too. People think just like, I need to make, just say, or for example, I need to be on the radio and that's my branding, that's it. Or I have a logo and that's my branding. It's like, well, no, there's different ways to brand your stuff. Another thing, kind of like on Bobstock, a big thing, because I think they're on the come up, like the food trucks are everywhere. Yeah. But then I think there was a lot of food trucks that they weren't able to get in. But we were having that conversation the other day, like the capacity that they don't have the capacity, or right?
It really depends. We always want people to know that our local market is first and foremost what we want to serve. But we found that we've grown the event to the point that I don't know, just local vendors can serve that. There's also people now that travel from all over, and we want this really nice variety. So if we're going outside of, let's say, Morgan County seeking vendors, typically it's because it's something we don't have here. We brought out Super Smash Burgers last year. Well, I haven't found a food truck anywhere in Northeast Colorado that specifically does smash burgers. So we want one to come, right? So then, mac and cheese truck. There's several that travel here, but there is nobody here who has a mac and cheese truck. That thing has a line around the block all day. So we make sure that we have a lot of local vendors, and we never want to turn them away. But the calendar flips to the first of the year, and we already start getting people. We don't even have an application ready quite yet, and we're getting calls every day. And I get the same with bands. January comes around, and people start planning their year, and they start calling. Our phones start ringing for that January 2nd every year.
So then you guys don't go out and look for them. People are starting to come to you guys.
No, we don't anymore. They literally almost always come to us. Unless for some specific reason we're looking for something, or we find that there's a miss somewhere. So yeah, we get pushback sometimes that we don't do enough for local vendors, and that's never the intention. Because
you guys attract thousands of people. Like, if you're going to have someone there, you have to be able to like serve the community or serve the people that are there. If not, then it kind of looks bad on you guys.
Like if they're used to serving, say, 100 people that came during the whole day, well, now you got 10,000 people in front of you. Like it's a little different. You're not used to it, and that's even a thing for conversation me and Eric were having too. It's like a lot of business owners are like, I want to grow my business. I want to get 100 new clients. It's like, well, in reality, do you have your systems and everything set up for 100 more clients? Can you actually handle that? Like, honestly, if I, not now, like us, I probably couldn't go take 100 clients right now. So it's like, you got to be honest with, like, this is what I can do to be able to best serve. Yep. But sometimes the ego gets to us a little bit, and we think we're better than we really are.
And with Bobstock, we try to tell everybody, our goal is that you make money. We love it when organizations like the Fort Morgan Chamber and Economic Development, they now run our beer garden. I love it when they make a lot of money off of our beer garden to put back into nonprofits. I love that we'll let anybody have a booth. Food vendors are a little different. We'll work with anybody to get them a booth space as long as they get in touch with us enough in advance. And then we want businesses to make money. Like, we take it as a huge feather in our cap when we hear that Queen Lounge has their best weekend ever on Bobstock weekend. That's the goal. Otherwise, we'll stop doing it. If it's a hindrance more than it helps local business, we won't do it anymore. But all of our indicators anymore, as it's grown, say that the majority support it, they like it, and that it's good for business and it's good for nonprofits. So that's the goal,
so right? Even though like the beer garden is like right there, like Queens is still having the best weekend that they had.
Yeah. Yeah, and we introduced, Club Tap kind of entering into the fold. And then you have other restaurants, right, that serve beer. We're conscious of that, and we want to grow smart. We want to accommodate the people that come. We want it, right? We've probably all been to events that you go and you're like, oh my God, there weren't enough bathrooms. I stood in line forever. I couldn't get a beer for 45 minutes. That sucked. So we pay close attention to, there's that balance between taking care of vendors and booths, and we want them to make money. We don't want them leaving saying, there were 10,000 people, but I didn't even I could have gone to something a fraction of the size and made way more money. So we don't want that to happen. But we also, we get a lot of comments from just people who now travel from out of state or out of town who don't live around here and come to the event, and they're real quick to critique it. And if they don't have a good experience, what are we doing, right? So there's that balance too in also serving that consumer. And so sometimes that's at odds with what one food truck thinks they should make in a weekend, right? Mm-hmm. So we need it to look nice. We need it to be clean. We need them to be able to get food, beer, and a bathroom quickly. I mean, the amount of time we spend talking about porta potties in regards to Bobstock, you guys would not believe. It's way less than it takes me to do a radio show. Let's put it that way. We have to spend a lot of time with those things. And then we have to sit down with the city of Fort Morgan, and we have to lay out a plan for all those things. So there's a lot of moving parts.
It just reminded me, we're talking about the
porta potties. That reminded you?
But the porta potties was it. When we're talking about pretty much what our capacity is and how good we really think we're better. Mm-hmm. So I actually had somebody, I won't say their name, but they called us. They were looking for a job. Mm-hmm. And then I was talking over the phone. I was like, how much do you want to make? That's what I told him. Well, I'll make $1 million a week. And I was like, and then he just like gives a little chuckle. I was like, cool. What are your skills? Are you worth that $1 million a week? And he just shut the fuck up and he hung up on me. But it's kind of like we think we're more than it is. But and then I told him that, and then he I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking, but it's just interesting.
We all want to make $1 million, but then it's like, are you willing to do the stuff that it's going to
Are you even worth it? Yeah.
Exactly.
Most times we probably are. If that's what we're going for. Because if we were worth $1 million, we'd be asking for $10 million maybe. Sure. But I wanted to ask you another thing, like an observation, if you allow me. For Bobstock, since I'm Hispanic, I don't think there's much stuff like for Hispanics, like say music-wise or stuff.
Yeah.
I think Hispanics were always down to party. So I think if there was something like Hispanic-wise, I think people would be down.
I can tell you're already jumping the gun on our announcement, but no, that is something that. Yeah, thanks a lot. If we could just cut that at the beginning. No, it's not a secret. It's something we know. I can sit right here and tell you it's not my realm, and so people keep approaching me with that, saying you should do this, and I say, great, help me do it. Help me understand. I don't even know where to start in what will appeal to a wide range of people who are coming to Bobstock. So if you can help me with that, I will take suggestions on anything. I can tell you we had a local business that came to us and said, hey, we would help incorporate and pay for that. So it is 100% something that is more focused. It's something I've wanted to do for several years. How do we do it? And now that we have 5 stages, now that I have a business on board that's like, hey, we think we could cater to that. We think we could do some fun things with that. So I'm always taking suggestions. Who should we bring? How should that look? And so it is something we will incorporate more of. And I've been challenged by that for it's probably been a topic for about 3 years. And so every time I've looked at it, I think this year I have somebody going, I'll pay for the bands. And I had somebody else that said, I'll get you bands that will draw. So, you guys are always welcome. Help me. Throw your hat in the ring. Throw me bands. Throw me ideas that will make that fun, because it really needs to be part of Bobstock, because it's a big part of our culture here, right? And a lot of people, it's Bobstock, and for a lot of years we stayed kind of on point to that classic rock, but we've slowly gone more and more, and I get bluegrass bands and other bands, and when you have 5 stages, I think we can do whatever we want and not be off-brand, because you do have 5 stages. So I think it's a part that you're right. We've not intentionally ignored, but we haven't taken as much time and effort to go, okay, what does this demographic want and how do we get it here? So that is a huge push for this year and something I think you're going to see a lot more of.
Yeah. Now, to be completely fair, you should do this. Like we were just saying, you should do that. And it's like,
from the outside looking in.
Yeah,
Sure.
from the outside looking in. But then from like a business owner, you tell me, I have this thing and I tell Eric too. It's like, you don't want to be the employee that's always just bringing the owner more problems.
Sure.
You can bring him a problem, but bring him a solution.
Absolutely.
Don't just bring him a problem because he's going to fucking fire you.
Sure.
Like if you're just bringing him problems all day.
And understand that everything when it comes to event planning is not black and white, right? So people say, well, this layout, you should have put this over here. Well, something like power. We work all year round, and the city power department are like some of the best guys on earth. We work with them all the time, but there are constraints with where we put things based on power. Stages can only go certain places because you have to have power to go to them, because we don't want 20 generators just running all over town, because then people complain about the noise from generators, right? So, you attend and you look at things surface level, and I'll always take anybody's feedback, because we've done it. We by no means have everything figured out. And I get great suggestions all the time. Or people bring me bands all the time, and we've literally gone after ones that we hadn't thought of. I had somebody walk in my office this week and go, hey, do you have your band booked for Bobstock? And I said, I'm working on something. And they said, you need to get this band. And I said, you know what? They've been on our list for a long time. And he said, well, just get them here.
Just do it.
Sure. But we'll take those suggestions all day long. We can't implement all of them, but we spend a lot of time, and there's like a method to our madness on pretty much where every single 10 by 10 space goes, where every porta potty is set, where every trash can is done. It may not all be perfect because, a lot of people come in and stuff shifts, but we work really hard and a lot of time on laying out everything and having our arms around everything that happens. But we're not above making adjustments.
Another thing that I was thinking just now is I know you guys are like limited for space, obviously, but it's like maybe more things for like kids to do, like maybe even like rides or something. I know that's obviously a limited amount of space to like fit that in there, and then go back to the power thing. It's like have a bunch of generators going too. I
need like somebody to knock down a building, like a large building downtown, and just have a parking lot. So
seems like you got an idea. Which one? Which one are we taking? You've eyed it already.
I will not say which bank, but no, because there's a lot down there. But it's like, we would love that, or we would love multiple pockets or different areas to do it. And again, I will take anybody's suggestion. We haven't found the right space because we have people approach us who can bring rides. It's not a lack of like, how would we do that? We can do it. Where are we going to put it? Like a real, like legit ride. Where's the infrastructure, and where can we put them that will work? So it's not a lack for wanting a lot of those things.
Yeah, no, we're probably just here bombarding you with stuff on shoulds.
Not at all. These are everything people bring. And again, sometimes it is where I go, oh my God, we never thought of that. That's genius.
So now that we're telling you like, yo, you should do this, you should do that. How important is it for you as you're growing and you get more people trying to get in your ear to say no to things?
We have to say no a lot more, and we've had to train my dad. My dad's just that guy that's always, we'll make everything work, and we used to. And then we got big enough that we can't. We can't let everybody do what they want. We can't let everybody show up and go, well, I don't want this booth space. I want that booth space. So the joke in our office is we have to remind Wayne to say no. Like, hey, we have to say no. We hate that because it's not really in our nature with what we do. And it does suck. It is a real headache on that weekend or even ahead of time. We have to have hard cutoffs where we cut off booths now 2 weeks in advance because it takes that long to go lay them out and double check power and all of these things. We sometimes could add, I'm not kidding you, 40 to 50 booths in the last 2 weeks. We cannot adequately plan for that in that short of amount of time. So we have to say no. And we get people that get really mad about it. And we don't want that to be the case, but we also, the people that did sign up early, we have an obligation to take care of them and make sure that we do things and hopefully do them right.
Do you think the people that don't sign up and don't get that and get really mad don't really have a full understanding how business works?
Yes. Or events. I find that there's business and events are just a whole other thing. And I feel like that's been my realm for a long time, and it's something I enjoy. a lot of people just think you can just put on an event and it's easy. And if you're good at them, it's not about the 5 major things. Like for me, it's not about getting the band on stage. It's the 1,700 emails, I'm not joking, that it takes to reach out to a band, to negotiate contracts, to deal with their 5 people, to get approval on every single ad that we put out, even on our own stations, every single picture that we do. I mean, when you deal with big bands, there are restrictions 15 pages long. Wow. We're dealing with that right now. I mean, we're going through contracts and having to do that. So it starts there. That has nothing to do with the stage and the equipment. It has nothing to do with then where they stay, the logistics of how we get them here. Getting them on stage and once they're there is like, it's nothing. The planning right now to get them here and agree and get them to understand our event, it's 400 tiny details. And that's what events are about. It's about the teeny tiny details and doing them well. It's less about any of the big things.
That should go like and show people like how much work actually goes into it. It's January 2nd, you said you're already starting to get emails and stuff about it and trying to schedule stuff in already.
We're in deep discussions on Thanksgiving. There've only been one other time that in November we were working on stuff. I know that we're going to have a good year when we do that because it just means we're ahead. Because sometimes we don't dictate bands. They kind of get to dictate to us, right? I mean, we're a pretty small event in comparison. And so when we sit down to negotiate, it takes a long time. It really does. And so, yeah, it is. It takes... It now takes, there is not a month out of the year that we are not doing something with Bobstock. Not a single month, maybe a few weeks here and there. But whether we're brainstorming, whether we're putting out bids, whether we're looking at contracts, whether we're starting to talk to sponsors and vendors, it's literally every month out of the year.
Seems like you're very busy doing so many different things.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know, like either in the past, now, or, what are some insecurities or things that you think have held you back from achieving more higher success?
Ooh, that's a really good question. It is doing too much, right? Like, I like the ability to do things, and I feel like a lot of what we do is in my realm. But there are some times that I go, you know what? I think I'd be more effective if I slowed down. I think if we shed and didn't do some of these things, I mean, I love Bobstock and it's a passion project, so that's never going to go away. But sure, there are certain times that I go, do you know how more effective and how much more I could do for businesses I work with if I didn't deal with Bobstock? Because there are so many things. So when you say insecurity, or
not insecurities, it doesn't have to be insecurities, but like something that like with doubt or something that you think, just something that has stopped you from being able to like, say, unlock the next level to yourself. Like, it doesn't have to be business, personal, like whatever you think.
It's a work-life balance, right? I have a daughter that's just turned a year old, and you have kids. Stopping for a second when you're a mom too, to 2 kids, and trying to balance, and we run at a fast pace on top of Bobstock and the radio station with the movie theater. 5 years ago, our life very drastically shifted. And so while that can complement a family life, then we turned around and had a baby. And yeah, there are times that I go, I love what I do on a daily basis. I love it. Is it always what's best for my kids? We're dragging our kids along to the theater all the time, or they've got only mom or dad home at night because one of us is at the theater. I'll leave here tonight and I'm at the theater tonight. That means my husband's on pickup duty and he's putting the kids to bed, so I won't see them tonight, right? So I think a lot of parents sit there and have that doubt sometimes. Like, I know I love this. Can some of this wait until my kids are older, or I don't know that we can go to the next level if I want them to have a mom that's engaged at home and have the energy to do both. That's probably the biggest thing. How do you balance it all?
Is there a balance?
It depends on the day. Some days, no. Like, some days my hair's on fire and I stop and just go, why do we do all this shit? Like, why? Yeah. Like, and the popcorn business is one.
There you go. Keep them entertained with popcorn. Your kids.
They do.
They'll love
My
it.
6-year-old is money. She's ready to run a cash register and pop popcorn, and so 6-year-old is great. The 1-year-old can't get her shit together to help run the movie theater. She's like of no help whatsoever.
So like in addition to everything you're doing, you're now adding in this popcorn stuff.
Yeah,
Tell
the
us a
movie
little bit about
theater and gourmet popcorn. My
Tell us a little bit
brother-in-law.
about that. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
My brother-in-law is the ultimate entrepreneur. And so that was something, we did the big remodel at the movie theater that we added in. I know when I walked in, I gave you guys samples. Again, it's fun. It is part of our brand because it's fun and it's entertaining, and going to the movies or going to whatever it is, we found popcorn complements pretty much anything that we do. So it is fun to do, but it's another layer. It's more employees. It's more ordering in of stuff. It's more time to do that. So yeah, there are absolutely times that I think we go, we just get through the holiday season and it's like, are we up for doing this again? Like, that's a lot. And then, you go to bed, you wake up the next day, and then you're like, yep, let's go. Let's go. Let's just keep going. So it does. I don't know if you guys are like that, but some days you're like, there's so much more you can do, and then some days you want to step back and do less.
There's days where I've planned like, I'm going to do all this stuff, but then got one bump in the road, one bump, the software stops working, and then you're kind of just stuck there trying to fix it.
When Eric wants a day off, he just blames that the software's not working. So
Software's
he's
not
like, my
working.
computer's down. I don't know what's happening. I can't do anything for 3
Maybe
days.
I should
If
try
only.
that. I don't know.
If
I know
only.
the software's out there like, Lindsey, you don't use software to do any of this. I'm like, oh, okay.
Those days are harder than days where it actually is working.
Yeah.
Then you just stress out.
Yeah.
Stress so much more about like, why isn't this going?
Being a small business owner, it's not for anybody who's weak, right? It is the toughest thing. And I find in this market, in particular in small markets, you wear a lot of hats, and you just have to be ready to do all the things that need to be done if you want to be successful.
Yeah. For me, it's just like, it's just like what we do. It's like, sometimes it sucks, you're doing it, but it's just sometimes it's just what you do. And,
it is.
And me, I like to live a little bit more, I guess, on edge. I guess there's balances to it,
Yeah.
but it's more, I don't want to be just sitting there like, I wonder what I'm going to do today, just sitting at home. Like, no, that's not me. Yeah.
No, I don't know what that would be like, to be honest. But I find it, and again, the theater is this cool complement. It's so different than the radio business. And I found out that going into that and just getting crushed with we bring in like Avengers Endgame a few years ago, and it's just sellout show after sellout show, and it's just crazy. We have fun. My dad comes in. You'll find my dad back making pretzels. I love running the box office. My brother-in-law is out, running for mayor, is really good. My husband's making sure all the movies start. He does all the tech and back end of that. And my mom will make sure everything's clean and popcorn's off the floor, right? So there's 6 of us in a partnership on that side. And that is a fun thing that it's another job, and once in a while it feels like it. But we also tell people that sometimes it's just fun. Nobody's mad to come to the movies. I've never seen anybody pissed off to walk into the movie theater. They're there to have fun. They bring in their kids, their families and stuff. So there's also this really fun level of enjoyment out of that, where it doesn't always feel like work.
And I think that's why you can handle more stuff, because
It is.
like you said,
Because we have fun.
Like you have fun, and like you said with Boss Vlog, it's a passion project. Like you're not doing it for the money, you're doing it because you like to do it. So that's what makes it a little bit more bearable. You can take on more responsibility.
And there's always
to make it. Sorry to cut you off. I
you're
was just
good.
gonna say, to challenge it for both of you guys a little bit. Like, yes, it's fun, but it's not fun where you're just getting your ass kicked and it's not making like no money either.
No, you're right.
There has to be a time.
There's a
where
level of
fun-
stress if you can't make it work,
Exactly.
right?
And then it's
everybody
not
else
fun
has got to
anymore.
think everything you do. Absolutely. And the movie theater does it's really good. People come every day, right? The challenge to that is it's open every day. There's a lot to that. But then Bobstock can be stressful for that, right? It's like, well, we don't have an option. We have to bring in sponsorship, and we have to pay for these things. And it's gotten easier now, but in early years, there is a level of stress and going, can we actually pull this off? And now there's a confidence level that, yes, we will pull this off. We've done it enough. But yeah, if we weren't doing it, and if we had lost it and lost money on that thing for multiple years, yeah, we wouldn't still be doing it. We wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
So everybody says like, oh, you have your own business. That's awesome. You get to choose your own hours. Yes, it's a double-edged sword because yes, you can work whenever you want, but if you don't keep yourself accountable, you might be slacking off if you just want to live that entrepreneurial life. But if you actually want to get stuff done,
Yep.
you're gonna be working more hours than you would at a regular job.
And sleep a little less at night. How many times in the middle of the night you guys wake up and you're like, oh, I have this idea, or oh, I want to do this, or oh, like that happens to me all the time.
My middle of the night is like
it's hard to shut it off.
Eric's
5 a.m.
Yeah. Eric's a vampire.
Are you?
I'm a night owl.
Are you?
Yeah.
See, I go to bed early. I'm up early in the morning. I can be up 4:30 in the morning, like starting to.
And that's when I'm going to bed.
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll set up to like 3, 4, 5 in the morning, whatever.
Really?
And just sometimes for me, once I get in a groove, I have to keep going.
Yeah, you just have to
because
do
when
it.
you're in a groove, that's when you get the most of your work done.
And then he's texting me in the morning. When he's going to sleep, I'm almost waking up. I'm like, did you just wake up, or are you barely going to sleep? Like what?
Was that the other day I sent you a message? You're like, are you still awake?
You still awake? And he had just gone to sleep. I was like, and I'm waking up. So I'm
fine.
more of morning too. So,
But that's a challenge too, like communication stuff. Like he's ready to go early in the morning, and I'm not. I'm like,
Is that good though? Does that work well for your business?
Sometimes.
Yeah, depends on what it is.
If like for meetings and stuff, it's like a little harder to like work around because obviously it's better to get stuff done like earlier in the morning so you can use the rest of the day to like get your stuff done. But his early morning is different than my early morning.
Right.
And just like that scheduling portion. But for me, like the editing stuff is like whenever I get into that creative kind of groove, then you just got to go.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it.
It seems like most people, whether it's that kind of realm, video editing, graphic design, something that works with designing or that type of creativity, I find most of those people are night people.
I think
they work right up to deadlines and they are night people.
I think that's just when there's the least amount of distractions.
Which totally makes sense.
Which I'm trying to get better at that. To like
falling asleep, that's not a distraction.
Yeah, I did just done.
I've been trying to get better because I got like a little timer for my desk. So like even during the day, like I'll set the timer, and for some reason having that timer there helps me kind of stay focused. Like okay, for the next hour, put the phone down, put it on silent, and just focus on this. And I found that actually helps me.
That's something I've done too. That's been a new thing for me in the new year, and it's something we're talking to our staff is although we connect and call each other a lot because we're in different offices, how much that phone can hinder you, right? Because it's just right there. How much it takes you away by just any alert that goes off. It doesn't matter what it is. And so I find myself doing that more than I ever have in just the past few weeks going, if I'm going to get this done, I need an hour. And it's turn it off, put it away, and go to work. And I've had to do that. The more we take on, it's like if you don't, it's a kind of a whirlwind of a day. You're just constantly distracted and pulled away from what needs to be done. So sometimes there has to be a reset, and that's something I'm working on right now. Going, I have to have more control over that. And I want to be accessible to customers, people, other employees, but sometimes you can't be effective if you're accessible to everybody all the time. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, we're talking about earlier too. If anybody has access to you, and if everybody can have access to you, and if everybody can afford you, then it's not valuable. Yeah. I think. So it's like that's what makes it valuable. That it's not accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
Or that no one can not everyone can afford it. But yeah. So Lindsey, appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely,
for
guys.
coming on with us.
If people want to know a little bit more about you, like where can they find you? Where can they get a hold of you? MediaLogicRadio.com. It's an easier website is a good one to go on there. Bobstock Music Festival. If those are some of the things we've talked about. I'm easy to find. Pretty much any of the emails on there come to me or Facebook, whatever. I'm pretty accessible. I'm around. Hang out at the movie theater. I'll sell you your tickets.
Awesome. Nice. Well, I appreciate you for coming on. I think people will probably be in contact with you soon. At least they should try the popcorn. The popcorn's pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. I'll show I brought it in here to kind of show it off a little bit. I know. Next time. Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Remember that an act rebellion is to question.